Hey everybody, welcome back to Minor Stuff. I'm Matt.
I'm Pat.
We're the Minor Brothers. Today, we're taking you along bourbon hunting in Florida. Let's get to it.
Alright, welcome back everybody. Before we get started, please do all that normal stuff we always ask for. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Like this video. Drop some comments down below. What have you found lately on your bourbon hunting trips? And have you ran into all these museums that apparently we're going to run into, Matthew?
Pat, yeah, so took a trip to Florida.
Yes, you did.
Right? And obviously, we go places to find bourbon. Right?
Well, you do. I don't.
So, everywhere we go, we try to take little trips all over the place. My next trip is actually going to have to be, I'm thinking hopefully Kentucky, because like I have to make that trip next. But we went to Florida. There's a lot of stuff down there to do, obviously. There's a lot of liquor stores to go to.
Couple.
So, we ended up hitting up 4 of them. And we got enough stuff that we ended up having to ship things back to ourselves. Because that just happens, okay? We didn't plan on doing it that way. $95 to check a bag. Fuck that shit. I can ship a huge box for a lot cheaper than that. Anyways, let's get into the very first store, Pat.
Alright.
Alright, everybody. We found this Dixie liquor store. First time I've ever seen this. And not only that, it's a drive-through. We gotta go check it out. Alright, Pat. So as you can see, they got the basic selection here, right? Old Forester, Horse and Soldiers, Michter's, Angel's Envy. They had some Maker's Mark. Heaven Hill, Penelope. The Heaven Hill was a really good price for it. But other than that, it's just your basic selection. We were able to sort of walk down. They had a pretty good aisle going here. Russell's 10 wasn't too bad. But what we did is, this is the coolest part about it, Pat. It's a drive-through liquor store.
That's
a Winn-Dixie. So we were like, oh yeah, look at that. We saw the Winn-Dixie store, the grocery store, right? And then right next to it said liquors. And I was like, oh cool, let's go stop there. And then I saw on the big street sign, drive-through. I'm like, there's no fucking way. And there was a line of people buying liquor through a drive-through. Can you say fucking Florida is awesome? Right now, Florida's awesome. So we ended up getting, because this is I was going down there, needed something to drink that night, got some Russell's 10, right? And then at the very end of the counter, I noticed a whole bunch of Buffalo Trace. Ended up grabbing 375 for $17 and $24 for a freaking regular bottle of Buffalo Trace, a 750. You know, that pricing, sitting on the counter, how do you not buy it?
how.
So that was the very first one. I'm hit or miss on these stores, right? Because we don't have a lot of grocery stores up here that do it. It's either state-controlled stuff or you got just liquor stores, not like grocery stores running alcohol stuff. So, the next one, Pat, we're going to is a Publix. All right, everybody, we're at the Publix liquor store. Had good luck with Winn-Dixie. Let's see what's in here. All right, so as we see, Pat, Blue Run, Calumet, they had a lot of great stuff, sort of. Four Roses, Makers, Elijah Craig.
All your standard stuff all over.
All the standard stuff. And they're like, oh, I bet you're looking for the allocated stuff. The allocated stuff they had in a little cooler at the very end. And guess what? It was nothing at all special. It was Basil Hayden. It was nothing special at all, Pat. It was Basil Hayden Subtle Smoke. And the other Basil Hayden bottle. And a couple other, really stupid things. And I'm like, this is what you guys call allocated? I'm like, we're in 2 totally different areas. Like, this is definitely not allocated stuff. So, yeah. Publix wasn't great. We ended up just leaving that place. The people were nice. Very nice. I love everybody down in Florida. They're also great. The hospitality of everybody is totally different than up here. So the next one we went to, Pat, was this one that was next to a gas station. This store was the very first one that I got my first Blanton's at.
You overpaid for.
That they charged me $160 for. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I just need a Blanton's because I was very first into it. Never even seen one. Hunting it for freaking months and months and months and months. And I way overpaid for it. So I went in there expecting things to be a little...
You wanted to way overpay for something again?
It wasn't as bad as you'd think, though. Let's get into it. We're at Beunique Liquors in Ocala, Florida. Let's see what they got. So as you can see, Pat, huge selection. Knob Creek, Makers, Woodford Reserve. They had two sides of their aisle going of stuff, basically just stacked. So we have Russell's Single Barrel, some crappier stuff, Bird Dog. Here's the Buffalo Trace. And you know what, Pat? Look at that. It's stacked up there. And the prices for the 750s are a little high. But for the 1.75s, that's not actually too horrible, considering in Virginia, they're like 140. And when we look at their actual allocated stuff, right, Stags are like 300. They had Makers. They had, obviously, Blanton's in there. They didn't even have a price for the Blanton's because I'm assuming it was still 160. I don't understand why people put Basil Hayden in these things. Blanton's Golds. They had the Handy. And as we keep going up, you're going to end up seeing a George T. Stagg here. George T. Stagg was actually $7.99, whereas in that E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof was $1,000.
What?
So,
do they want to trade a barrel proof for the George T. Stagg? We have a couple.
$1,000 for an E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. I was like, yeah, that's a little much. The $800 it was for the George T. Stagg, and he was like, we can work on that price with you. And I was almost gonna start like trying to negotiate it down. I didn't, because you know what, we still had more places to go to. Didn't know what else I was gonna end up buying. Let's just say this: $800 for George T. Stagg at that place was nothing compared to what we're about to get into, Pat. So the next one, let's get into it. All right, we're at a Spirit of the Shores liquor store. Just another one we saw. I figured we might as well stop in. All right, so as you see, Pat, this one has a lot of the regulars. We do have good old Russells. We have the Jack, Michter's, Traveler. They had Henry McKenna, which was a little bit more expensive. Horse Soldier. They actually had a really good, considering how small the store was, I expected this to be a little bit less bourbon selection. Buffalo Trace, obviously,
crazy seeing Buffalo Trace on the shelf everywhere down there.
So a lot of stuff wasn't really horrible as far as pricing and all that stuff goes.
13th Colony.
Pretty good selection overall here. They have all the Elijah Craigs. And, just an overall variety of stuff. I will say that. But when we get to this section, Pat, we need to talk. Because now we have basically the entire BTAC lineup, minus the William LaRue Weller. And their George T. Stagg is $1,000 here. Pappy 23, only $4,500. Thomas H. Handy, $650. We got those stacked up behind us. Jack Daniel's 10-year for $200. Cellar aged for $500.
Ouch.
250s for Stags. $250 for Elmer T. Lee. And they had Rock Hill Farms, which are like, oh, this is like the best bottle we have here at like $400. Like, it's not the best bottle we have there, but $400's a little much. Then they even had more. So E.H. Taylor small batch for $100. That's not realistically horrible because I've seen them going for like $120-ish.
Yep.
$125 for Blanton's. $200 for a single barrel. You can buy those on the secondary market online at cheaper, like $180 shipped to you. So overall, high prices. High prices. I understand, people have to spend money. People have to, they can make more money doing these things. But when is enough enough? You know what I'm saying? Those bottles are probably just going to sit there. I don't actually see them selling. What's the point of having a library? Like, do you just want to show everybody what you can...
They have to pay that pricing for the cleaners to come in and keep dusting those bottles off.
Something. That was a little crazy. They had the stuff there. They probably end up moving it at some point. But when you have like that many single barrels, that many, all that other stuff there, you're not moving them. Like if you had 2 or 3, I could see that, but not when you have stacks of them. Overall, I liked that store. The people that were in there were super nice. Obviously, the owner was the one who was setting the pricing on it. But the guy we talked to was super great, super helpful. We ended up buying a couple other bottles from that store. Another Russell's 10-year, just because we had already finished the other one that we were drinking while we were down there. And it was a matter of, they had great selection. And I really was going into that store, I was like, I'm probably going to have like a half an aisle of bourbon. So the fact that they had 2 whole aisles of it surprised me. And the fact that they had all that other stuff also surprised me. Just definitely wasn't ready to pay the secondary on some of those higher bottles.
Yep.
All right, Pat, last one is going to be Fine Wine and Spirits, ABC, from Ocala. Let's get into this one. All right, everybody, we're here at the ABC Fine Wine and Spirits down in Florida. Let's see what they got. So as you can see, Pat, they have a huge selection. Calumet Farm, Smoke Wagon, Knob Creek, Basil Hayden, Woodford Reserve. They had some barrel products. They had Peerless. Just a lot of stuff. Basically all normal pricing, which was good. They had no really great special, so-called allocated products here for the most part. They did end up having some Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye at 137.1 proof. So guess what ended up coming home with me?
That one.
That one definitely. We also got the Frank August bottle because it looked cool. I haven't really had it, didn't know much about it. Figured I ended up getting it, but as you can see, they had a lot of good stuff. I almost picked up the single barrel that they had there as well from Russell's. Overall, pretty good selection, and they also had a really great cigar collection down there. So I ended up getting the 2 bottles from there. Ended up being pretty good overall, as far as pricing goes, everything. Like I said, at that stage, I had to have enough to ship it back. So, can't wait to go back down there. Next time, we're going to hit up some more parts of the state to go around to some different areas. They obviously got a lot of different collections. Depending on where you go, you're getting different products, right? Just like up here, except for New Hampshire, like we are obviously state-controlled. Mass, everybody gets all from the same distributor, so it's really the same products, just depending on which stores you're going to. So that was our bourbon hunting down in Florida. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to this channel and following us along. We hope you guys all have a great day.